Okay, today's learning target is that we are going to identify major climate regions in the United States and explain their characteristics. So today we're going to think about climate and the areas, the places where they are different in our country, okay? We're going to keep learning about text features and how they help the reader when we read them in a nonfiction text. All right, we have seen this page before. We have talked about some text features. Let's do a quick share out about some of the text features we see right here on this example page. What are some examples of text features that you see on this nonfiction text? Thank you, Nick. What's a text feature you see right here? Remember, things that help readers in a text. What do you see, Nick?
The caption.
Captions. Good. What else do we see? Gloria. I see the glossary. Me too, Gloria. Kaylee.
The table of contents.
Table of contents helps us know where to find something. Haley.
Photographs, captions, and the title.
Yeah, we see a title, we see photographs, we already mentioned captions. Awesome. So text features are like a map for readers. If we need to know where we're going in a text, we can use text features to help us understand what we're reading. That's the whole point of using text features. So today we're going to keep using text features as we learn about climate. Today we're going to read pages 4 through 8 together and do the chart on slide 9 together. So let's go ahead and get our task open. Please join me on Seesaw. Click on Activities, Assign to Class folder, and Red ELA. That's where you can find our task for today. Today it's called Comparing Climates. We're going to talk about two climates today that are different. Two different climates. We're going to learn about the desert climate and we're going to learn about the tropical climate. So I'm so excited to start reading about these climates. What is it like there? What type of weather is there? What type of plants are there? Remember yesterday we got to explore using Google Earth. We got to see with our own eyes what the plants look like, what the colors there are like, what the ground is like. So today we get to read some text about two different climate regions. Go ahead and open it up with me, please. Slide 1 is talking about our success criteria for the day. We're going to go ahead and skip past slide number 1. Slide number 2 is a quick review. We just talked about this together, but if you need to go back to view this example, you can do that. Slide number 3 is our directions. So let's all start on slide number 4. Slide number 4. This is our text today for learning about the desert climate. I want you to take 2 quiet minutes. I want you to read to yourself about the desert. I want everybody putting at least one idea from the text in their head that you could share out. What is life like in the desert? You have 2 minutes to quietly read. You may begin. Desert climate types. A climate is based on temperature, how much and when precipitation happens, and what grows in the area. Main climate types are, there's 4, desert, tropical, temperate, and polar. There are 4 types of climate. Let's learn about the desert today. Desert climate. Desert climates are dry. They get fewer than 10 inches of precipitation all year. The air in the desert holds less moisture than in wetter climates. Desert air has less water. There's not enough water to contain the day's heat. That means nights are cold. The big change in temperature from day to night makes it hard to live in desert climates. Many deserts get very hot. Some deserts can reach 122 degrees Fahrenheit, but not all deserts are hot. Antarctica is a desert. It is the coldest place on Earth, but it doesn't rain or snow much. Antarctica has the coldest, windiest, and driest climate in the world. Here's a fact right here. The driest spot outside of Antarctica is the Atacama Desert in northern Chile. A city there went without water for 400 years. So, let's highlight some important things about the desert climate. I already see one thing that's highlighted for us. Desert climates are dry. It almost never rains. It almost never snows. Remember, it says desert air has less water. In the air, there's not very much water, so it never rains, it never snows. Very dry. That means on the ground, there won't be bodies of water like rivers, like lakes or ponds. There won't be places of water. It's very dry. Some other important things we read is that deserts can be very cold and very hot. When I was a kid and I thought about the desert, I always thought it was sunny and hot. But that is not true. It says many deserts get very hot, but it told us that Antarctica, where it's so cold, is also a desert. So we need to know that a desert means a place where it is dry. It can be hot. It can be very cold. I noticed something really interesting right here when it talks about the nights are cold. It's telling us something very interesting. It says the big change in temperature from day to night makes it hard to live in desert climates. So imagine this. During the day, it could be very hot, and then the sun goes down and it's nighttime, and then it gets very cold. That makes it hard for people, plants, and animals to live in the desert. I don't like to be really hot and then really cold. I want to live in a place where I'm not so hot and not so cold, right? So deserts are difficult places to live. If you notice in this picture of Antarctica, I don't see any plants. I don't see any people. So sometimes deserts are very big and vast and not that many people live there. Some people do, but desert climates can be hard to live in. We have now researched some information about the desert climate. I want you to keep exploring. Your job is to explore page 5, page 6, let's just do those two. Explore page 5 and page 6 to learn more about the desert climate. What lives there? How do they live there? I want you to explore page 5 and 6, and then we will share out together. Go ahead and begin. All right, let's start sharing out. Was there anything really important on page 5 text about the desert climate?
No.
Is there anything that we should probably highlight that was important? Angela, what did you find?
I found that the sun burns slightly overhead. The air is hot and dry.
Okay, so there it is again. In a desert climate, the air is dry. This one says it's hot. Remember, it can be hot. Deserts can also be cold, but a lot of deserts are very hot during the day. Very hot during the day, so keep that in mind. But then at night, it gets cold. Let's check on slide number 6. Slide number 6. Who found something interesting or important about the desert climate region on slide number 6? Ashley, do you have something to share on slide 6?
No.
Okay, thank you for answering. Anybody else found something interesting? Nick?
They can survive with little water.
Okay, so it talks about how a desert is the driest place on earth. There are animals there, and they can survive with little water. So not all animals can live in the desert, but some. And we learned this year about animal adaptations. There are animals who live there who have adapted to the dry air, and they can survive with very little water all year long. Great job. Go ahead and join me on slide number 7, please. Click on slide number 7, and we're going to read this one together. Ready? The Sahara is the biggest hot desert in the world. It stretches across Africa. It covers 3.6 million square miles. Further south, the smaller Namib Desert has some of the world's tallest sand dunes. So this is a place, this is an example of a desert that is hot. Earlier, we saw an example of a desert that is cold. Remember, some deserts are cold, like Antarctica. Antarctica is a big cold desert, but right now we're seeing a different example. This is a huge hot desert. It's called the Sahara, and it's in the continent of Africa. So this is not in our country. This is in a different part of the world. Here we have a huge hot desert, and then there's another smaller hot desert. And in this small one, there's like mountains of sand. We call them sand dunes. Can you say dunes? Dunes. It's kind of a fun word. Look at this picture. These are huge. They probably don't look very big, but they're like mountains of sand. So deserts can be very large, and they can be cold places or they could be hot places. Okay, let's go to slide number 8. Slide number 8. I want you to take 1 minute and read slide number 8. I think this page is going to talk about vegetation. We've talked about temperature. We've talked about precipitation, that it's very dry, it doesn't rain or snow. And now I'm wondering about plant life. I'm wondering about vegetation. I want you to take 1 minute and read slide number 8. And I want you thinking about the plants. Ready? Go. 1 minute. On page 8, we see some text about the vegetation, the types of plants that are in a desert region. Remember, a desert region is dry. There's almost no rain, almost no snow. It's dry. We know that plants need water. So I'm wondering, how do plants survive? Nick, what did you find?
Probably to grow more than 100 feet.
We're learning about their roots right now. It's called tap roots. And I see a picture of a real tree. This is a text feature that helps me. And then I see another text feature. I notice a diagram right here. This helps me understand what the tree looks like in the ground. So Nick shared out that their roots can grow more than 100 feet. Look at these roots. The roots are almost bigger than the tree. Think about that. You have a huge tree and then the soil and the roots are almost bigger than the tree. I'm kind of thinking about this right now. I'm thinking, why are the roots so big in the desert region? Why are the roots so big? Why are they stretching so far into the soil? Dave, what are you thinking? So maybe it's just the longest in the world. Okay, we learned about the biggest desert, so maybe it's just a special tree. Nick, what are you thinking?
My stores water in the trees.
Okay, we know a desert is very dry. Almost never rains, never snows. There's very little water. We know trees need water. So what Nick is saying is maybe these roots are stretching down and getting water on the ground. If it's not going to rain, the tree has to get water somewhere. So its roots, its adaptation, its roots are stretching. And under the ground that we walk on, there is water in the soil. What are you thinking about, Gloria? Say it again, honey. Maybe there's something in the ground like snow. Okay, thanks for sharing that, Day. Right, yes, in the desert, exactly. Angela.
I found desert plants often have long stems.
Right.
Roots may reach deep into the ground for more water.
Boom. Angela found some text evidence that helps us with our thinking. Their roots reach deep into the ground to get the water they need for survival. This is an example of a plant adaptation. Plants can adapt to their environment. If it's too dry, if they're not getting any rain, plants say, okay, then we will stretch into the ground. Isn't that awesome how they are created to do that? I love that. Let's go ahead and look at slide number 9 together. This is our task today. We're going to do an example together, and then you're going to do the same thing later. So students are focusing their attention, thinking about what we're learning today. Here is a chart. Take a minute to look at the 3 categories in our chart. Read that to yourself. Okay, there are 3 categories that we are thinking about today for each climate region. The first one, number 1, is the temperature. temperature year round? Is it hot? Is it cold? What is the temperature? The second category we're talking about today is precipitation. Can you say precipitation? Precipitation is a big fancy word for, does it rain or snow? Precipitation is a word that we use when we talk about weather and climate. Does it rain or snow, and how much? Vegetation is a word from yesterday. Who can remember about vegetation? What does that mean? Nick, in your own spot, please. Anyone remember vegetation? That's all right. That's a tricky one. Vegetation is talking about the plants that grow there. Okay, so temperature, hot or cold. Precipitation, does it rain or snow, and how much? Vegetation, what grows there? What plants grow there? So on slide number 9, right now, we are focused on the desert climate. We're talking about the desert right now. Let's look at that first row for temperature. Who can read out the notes that are already here for us about temperature? What do we know about the desert because we read the text? Kaylee?
Some deserts are very hot, while others are very cold.
We read that today. Some deserts are very hot, while others are very cold. What's the second thing we learned about temperature in the desert region? Alicia. So it depends on where you are. If you're in the Sahara Desert, it's always hot. If you're in Antarctica, it's always cold. It depends on your location. Okay, next, our next row is precipitation. Precipitation, does it rain or snow, and how much? What did we learn about the desert climate region? Angela?
It's very dry.
It's very dry. There's almost no rain, no snow, no bodies of water. Very dry. Okay, we get to do vegetation together. We get to record about the plant life together. What did we learn about plants life or vegetation? What could we put in the chart, Gloria? Say it again. So there's water in the ground, right? What does that mean for the plants? What does that mean about the vegetation, Angela?
So the plants can get more water.
So what do the plants do? They have long
Roots.
They have long roots. Okay, so in our chart on slide 9, you're going to type with me. We're going to type next to vegetation. We're going to take a note. We're going to say plants have long roots. Why? Gloria, what was your reason? To get water. To get water. Plants have long roots to get water. That's something we learned about the vegetation or the plants in this region. In the desert regions, plants often have long roots to get water. Take 1 minute to type your response to vegetation. For our together lesson, we just did the desert. We explored the desert climate. Today, you're going to now learn about a different climate region. Remember, we read today that there are four main climates. Desert is one of them. The other ones are tropical areas, temperate areas, and polar areas. There's four main climates. We just learned about one, desert. Now for your task today, you're going to learn about a second one called tropical. So you're going to do what we just did together. You're going to read and explore about the tropical climate and then complete a chart. So let's look at slide number 10, which says your directions. It says complete slides 11 through 16 on your own. Number 1, read the text and study the text features provided on slides number 11, 12, 13, and 14. Then number 2, you're going to complete the chart on slide 15 by describing the climate of the region. So let's take a peek at it together. You are going to explore the tropical climate now. You have text to explore and text features to explore on page 11, page 12, page 13, and page 14. Just like we did together, you're going to read them, look at the text features, and learn about the region. When you're ready, you're going to record the same 3 types of information. Number 1 is temperature. What is it like year round there? Is it hot all year? Is it cold all year? Does it depend where you are? Number 2 is precipitation. Does it rain or snow, and how much? Number 3 is vegetation. What type of plants live and grow there? What do you know about those because of the text? That is your task today. When you're done, you can reflect on our target of applying text features to locate information. How did the text features help you today understanding the climate regions? I'm going to go ahead and end our Zoom a little bit early. You can take your break now. When you are done with your break, you can begin your independent work starting on slide number 11. Continuing, following all the slides, exploring the tropic climate and recording information on chart page 15. Okay?